Good evening, Emperor Eagles. Happy Thursday, almost Friday. I just wanted to remind you that on Monday, there's no school. On Monday, we celebrate and remember Dr. Martin Luther King and all of his work to make sure that everyone had equal rights. And I wanted to share with you a couple things. I wanted to start off by showing you a picture of one of my favorite memorials. This is the Dr. Martin Luther King Memorial in Washington, D.C. It's in the Tidal Basin, so it's surrounded by cherry blossoms, and it's absolutely gorgeous. I have a lot of pictures if you ever want to come see them. And what's fascinating is the symbolism in the memorial. So the memorial is a giant piece of stone because it represents the fact that there was so much work and there was a lot of hard work. And it looks like it's not finished, but that was on purpose because the work is not finished yet. Dr. Martin Luther King's work is not done. There is still work that has to be done to make sure that everyone has equal rights. Another fascinating piece about the memorial is that it's not really black or white. It doesn't really have a solid color one way or the other. And that's because the work that he did is for all humans, to making sure that all humans were given the respect and treatment that was equal to the people next to them. Yes, at this time, it was specifically for the rights of Black Americans. But in the end, his work is to ensure that you're able to go to school with your peer group, that everyone has the rights that they should have. And so we take Monday time to remember and celebrate him and to learn a little bit about him. I know you've done some work in your classes. And so today I'm going to read a story to you. The story is called Let the Children March. You know that Ms. Rodriguez always puts a ton of amazing books in the library in regards to the different holidays. So I want you to go down the library. You can ask to see this book, or you can see the other ones that he has to offer. This is by Monica Clark Robinson, and the illustrations are just gorgeous. And so it starts like this. 1963, Birmingham, Alabama. I couldn't play on the same playground as the white kids. I couldn't go to their schools. I couldn't drink from their water fountains. There were so many things that I couldn't do. One warm spring night, my family went to church. We weren't there to have regular services. We were there to hear Dr. King speak. We were there to plan. He wanted to raise an army of peaceful protesters to fight for freedom. His brown eyes flashing fire and love, Dr. King told us the time had come to march. If I march, Mama said, I'll lose my job sure enough. I can't march, Daddy said. I've got a family to feed. The weight of the world rested on our parents' shoulders, but this burden, this time, did not have to be theirs to bear. I don't have a boss to fear, my brother said, or a job to lose. We can march this time. We'll be Dr. King's army, I said. I'll be fine, Daddy, I promised. Don't worry, Mama. Dr. King didn't like children being put in harm's way. He was a daddy too, after all. But he said, though we were young, we were not too young to want our freedom. Let the children march. They will lead the way. On May 2nd, a Sunday, Thursday, boys and girls, brothers and sisters, cousins and friends, we all met at the church, dressed in our best, feet ready. In a silence so loud that all I could hear was my heart racing, we began to walk. Hand in hand, we marched so frightened, yet certain of what was right for freedom. The path may be long and troubled, but I'm going to walk on. Would I hurt? Would we be heard? Would it all be worth it in the end? I wanted to run from the angry faces in the crowd, run from danger, run from fear. Boys and girls, brothers and sisters, cousins and friends, on and on we marched. We marched, we marched, singing the songs of freedoms, 1,000 strong we came. Hate dodged my heels all that day. It yellow's canine teeth sharp, but courage walked by my side and kept me going. Disperse or you'll be jailed, the police shouted the first day. Disperse or you'll get what, the police shouted the second day. Disperse or we'll release the dogs, the police shouted the third day. We did not disperse. We kept marching. We wouldn't stop until things started to change. After I was sprayed by water stronger than anything I've ever felt, rough hands pushed me forward and I fell to my knees in the police wagon. I was going to jail. Dr. King reassured our parents, don't worry about your children, he said. They're going to be all right. Don't hold them back if they want to go to jail, for they are doing the job not only for themselves, but for all Americans and for all of mankind. That night, crowded into a cell too small for even half the kids, we sang, "We shall overcome. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. Our freedom is coming." Our parents couldn't be there with us, but we still sang, wrapped in the proud and loving arms of our ancestors. I was in jail, but we heard the next day and the next more kids marched. The water hoses they used to sting us could not stop our fierce tide. The path may be long and troubled, but I'm gonna walk on. Turn the other cheek, we had been taught, show love where there is hate. The world watches hate bruise us, but for 7 days we walked only in love. The jails swelled to bursting, and even President Kennedy took notice. Daddy said the president received letters and calls about us from all over the world. Our march would have become a memory, but a small part of a larger story. But we had been heard, and the seeds of revolution were sown. 2 days and nights I stayed in the jail, some stayed even longer. When I left, I was tired and sore. My best dress was ripped, but my smile was wide as the Mississippi River. I had made a difference. "I'm so proud of you, baby girl," Mama said. "Your march was what made them see." With nothing more than our feet, voices, and courage, we had done what others could not. Change was right around the corner. We felt like it was a cool breeze in an Alabama August. On May 10th, the great news rang out. Dr. King had reached an agreement with the white leaders of the city. Desegregation would begin. A month later, I was playing on the playground. I never had been allowed to play there before. 2 months later, my family ate a dinner we had never been allowed to eat in before. On March, we made the difference. We children led the way, singing the songs of freedom. 1,000 strong we came. This is just a gorgeous book, but one thing that I love is what it means for you as students, as children, thinking sometimes that, oh, the adults can take control of everything and fix everything, and sometimes we can and sometimes we can't. What I ask of you as leaders and good humans is that when you hear something, you do one of two things. You tell them, "Hey, that's not cool. That's not respectful. That's not kind." And if you're not quite there with your voice yet, then tell an adult and say, "Hey, I heard something that was not very nice today. Can you help me with it?" Those are ways that we can still change the world and change the future. People are not always very nice. Their words sting, their words hurt, and they say things that are very, very mean sometimes. If you hear that, you can say, "Hey, I don't like that. It's not kind." Or you can go and get help. Those are things that when we talk about there's still work to be done, there's still work to be done, and it's mostly in what people say. And so I expect as leaders that one, you set the example and you say only kind things. And two, if you hear something, you do something about it. You can always tell me, your parents, or your friends and get the help you need. Or as you find your voice, you tell them, "Hey, not kind, not respectful." I hope you take the day on Monday to read a good book, read about Martin Luther King, find some interesting facts, study the memorial that's in Washington, D.C., do your own kind of homework and investigation, and figure out ways that you can be a leader in this world and find your voice just like those kids did. I hope you have an amazing 3-day weekend, and I love you all. Read a good book. You are loved.